All right, so we're going to be talking about area of composite figures. Composite figures means that you have more than one shape built in as one shape. So you could have this area and connect it to something like this. So when you put both of them together, you could find the area to this and add it to the area to a triangle. You could do more than one shape. So right now I have in front of me, those of you that are here, make sure you look at, you look up here. So this is what I have. So I have a triangle attached to a rectangle attached to a semicircle. Okay, if I take them apart, I would end up with a triangle. Do we know how to find the area to a triangle? Yes. What would you do? Base times height divided by 2. So we know how to find the area to this. Do we know how to find the area to a rectangle? Yes. Length times width, right? And do we know how to find the area to a semicircle? How do we find that? You find the area to a full circle by doing pi times radius times radius, or r squared. And then we only want half of it divided by 2. So when I put these together, it makes a compound shape. This is a compound or a composite figure. Okay? Now here's where, so at the end, you would just take the area to this, the area to this, and the area to this, and add them up. And that gives you the area to this whole thing. Now here's where some of, where it gets confusing sometimes. Sometimes they're only going to give us this, and they would have to give us the height also. With these 3 measurements, I have the length and the width of a rectangle, and I have the height of the triangle. And this is all they give us. Where are we going to get? I could find the area of the rectangle by doing what? Length times width, right? 8 times 4. So that's going to give me 32 for this. So I'm done with this. Now I have to do the triangle. The triangle is base times height divided by 2. Where am I going to get the number for this base? How big, how long is the length of this base of the triangle? Where would I get that? From the bottom of the rectangle. If this is 8, that means this base is also 8 because it connects to my rectangle from end to end. So I know that the base of this triangle is 8 and the height is 6. So I would do base times height divided by 2. 8 times 6 divided by 2. That would give me the area to this. Now, what about this circle? What about this semicircle? I need pi times radius times radius. What information do I have here that would help me find this? I have this information from the rectangle. What is this telling me? From here to here, it's how big? 4. That means from here to here, it's also 4. What do we call this in a circle? What line do we call this? Diameter. But I don't want diameter for area. I want radius. So what am I going to use? I'm going to have to divide my diameter by 2. So I'm going to take 4 divided by 2. That's going to give me the radius from here to here. So I'm going to do pi times 2 times 2. That's going to give me the area to a full circle, but I only want half. So what should I do at the end? Divided by 2. Pi times 2 times 2, and then divided by 2. That's going to give me the area to this semicircle. This is called a semicircle, half a circle. Then I take all three areas, add them up, and that gives me the answer to a composite figure. All right. So first thing we're going to do, everybody's got on my joint PD on my Pear Deck. I'm going to go to my next slide. So for this one, first thing we're going to do is just figure out what are different ways we could look at a shape and decide how can we separate it to make shapes that we are familiar with. So what are some shapes that we are familiar with? What are some shapes that we're familiar with? We know how to find the area of a rectangle, right? And what else? We know a square, a parallelogram. What else? A triangle, a trapezoid, and a circle. So we know how to find all these shapes. So your job right now, I want you to go to your Pear Deck slide, and I want you to cut this shape right here into the minimum number of parts that you could break it up, shapes that you know. In other words, you can't do a shape like this because that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided shape, and we don't know how to find the area to that. So that wouldn't work. So where could you break up this shape into shapes that you are familiar with? Go ahead and do it right now. All right, let's look and see what some people did. So this person cut it up into 3 equal parts, and they used 2 rectangles. So to find this, they would do length times width. And to find this, they would do length times width. What about this top one? What would they do to find the area of this? Base times height divided by 2. Base times height divided by 2. So those are 3 shapes that we are familiar with. You know how to find the area. Once you find all 3 of them, you add them up. Now, somebody else did, let's see what the rest of you. This one was a little bit different. So this one has length times width right here. That's easy. What about this? What is this shape right here? If we go from here to here, from here to here, what do we call this shape? A trapezoid. Notice that there's 2 sets of parallel lines. There's a parallel line right here and a set of lines that is not parallel. So we could get your base 1 right here, your base 2 right here, and your height would come from this line right here. What about the other side? How could we find that? Same thing, right? There's your height. There's one of your bases. That's a slanted line that we don't use. There's your other base. So you could take base 1, base 2. It doesn't matter what order they're in. This would be your height. Divide by 2, and you got the area for this. Add them up, and you've got your answer. All right, any other different way? Here's a different way. This is actually the last way that it was done. This one was cut up again into rectangles. So we have a rectangle right here, length times width, length times width. And how are we going to find this? Base times height divided by 2. Add them up, and you're done. That's it. All right, you're going to try one on your own. So before you start this one, I want to show you that this one could be done with this long triangle right here. Just FYI, how do you find the length to this line right here from here to here? It's not 8. 8 stops right here. This is 8. From here to here is 8. So it can't be 8. What would it be? What do we have to add to this long line? 8 and 3 more, which would give us 11. So if you're going to do it this way, just know that this whole thing would be 11, and we multiply it by the height, which is 4. And find your area to this, then find your area to this triangle, then find your area to this triangle. All right, try it on your own. So this is how different ways you could have worked it out. So one way I said is for you to find the area of this whole thing. So you would do your 8 plus your 3 and get 11 times 4. And this whole rectangle would give you 44 square feet. This rectangle would give you 44 square feet. I'm going to add that to, now I have 2 little triangles at the corner. These 2 triangles. So one of them, there's my base, there's my height. So I'm going to do base times height divided by 2. Your 2's cancel out, so it leaves you 3. Or you could do that 6 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this little triangle right here is 3. So I'm going to add 3 to my 44. Now let's do the other triangle. The other triangle, I have the base right here and the height right here. Or it could have been this base and this height. Doesn't matter, as long as we don't use the slanted lines. I'm going to do base times height divided by 2. What is 3 times 3 equal to? 9 divided by 2 gives me what? 4.5, 4.5. It's okay to have decimals in here. So this triangle has an area of 4.5 square feet. I'm going to add them all together, my 44 plus my 3 plus my 4.5, and it's going to give me 51.5 feet squared. Do you see where I'm getting my whole 51? Now, something else we could have done is we could have taken this and broken it up like this, where this would be one rectangle right here. Do you see this rectangle? That would be one rectangle. And I'm going to change colors here. See if you can see this shape. Once I do this shape, look at what happens. If I go from here to here to here, what kind of shape is this? A trapezoid. Do you see the trapezoid? Here's my base 1. Where am I going to get the numbers for my base 1? How big is this line? Well, it's the same as this, which is what? 4. So I have 4 for my base 1. Look at my base 2. I have from here to here, it's 2. From here to here, it's 3. But I need this space right here. How big is this? Well, it's the same as this, right? Which is also 4. I'm going to add them all up to get this long line, this long base. So 2 plus 4 plus 3 is 9. Good job, guys. 9. So 9 is my base 2. So now I'm going to take base 1 plus base 2, multiply it by the height. What is the height? This dotted line, that's your height. Times 3 divided by 2. So I have 13 times 3 divided by 2. That's going to give me 39 divided by 2. That's going to give me 19.5 because it's almost 40. 19 and a half. I'm going to add this 19.5. This 19.5 comes from this trapezoid. I'm going to add this 19.5 to what? To what? Length times width. 8 times 4 gives me 32 square feet. So I'm going to add 19.5 and 32 and come up with what? 51.5 again. Exactly the same answer, different ways to work it out. Now I want you to try this one. Remember that in order to find the area to a semicircle, you're going to do pi times radius, and then you have to divide it by 2. In order for you to do this square, the formula is actually side squared, or side times side, which is 10 times 10. It's the same as length times width, so you can use that if you want. All right, figure this one out, and then we'll stop again. Sit down. So we should have taken our square right here and done 10 times 10. This would have given us 100. Then for this one, we should have done pi times r times r. Where am I going to get r from? Well, I have to get it from half of the diameter. Well, I know the diameter is 10 because of this, so half of my diameter would be 5. So I'm going to do pi times 5 times 5, and then I have to divide it by 2. Don't forget to divide it by 2. So that's going to give you 39.25. So you end up with 139.25. All right, thank you.